integral, we're going to factor out this 2 right here. That's the 2. 1 over 2 sine of t times the cosine of t dt. That becomes 2 times the integral of 1 over, that's the double angle for the sine, so it becomes the sine of 2t dt. And what's 1 over the sine of 2t? It becomes the cosecant of 2t dt. And we know how to do this one. We just did that in the previous problem. So that should have been pretty easy. Okay. Let's do number 4. So I'm actually not going to finish up this problem for you. You already know how to do this. So it's a first problem. Work it out. It's not too bad. Number 4. The integral of the secant of x times the tangent of x over secant of x minus 1 dx. See how I did number 34. I worked some of these out by myself in the back before I started. Oh, this is a straight out function. I didn't actually do this problem because it was a straight out problem. We're going to if you let u equal this right here, what's the derivative of the secant? It becomes a secant tangent. That's the chain portion right over here. So it's a straight out u substitution. We're going to let u equal secant of x minus 1. The derivative of that on the left side is du. The derivative of secant of x is the secant of x times the tangent of x dx. The derivative of 1, a constant, is 0. So there it is. The secant of x, tangent of x dx. So that becomes, by the u substitution, du in the numerator, and the secant of x minus 1 was u. That becomes the integral of 1 over u is going to be the natural log. You should have known that by now. Of u plus c, or we back substitute the natural log of the absolute value of secant of x minus 1 plus constant. There's your final answer. I don't have the answers in the book, so I can't really figure it out. I can take the derivative of this. Let's actually do it. We have a little bit of time. So let's check our work. Okay. We want to find the derivative with respect to x of the natural log of secant of x minus 1 plus c. Does that equal question mark secant of x times the tangent of x over secant of x minus 1. So if you take the derivative, we should end up with the inside of the integral, or the integrand. They call it integrand. Let's see, we're going to hide this. A little hide that. The derivative of the natural log is 1 over this function, whatever it is. It becomes 1 over secant of x minus 1 times the derivative of the inside, which is the chain portion. The derivative of secant is the secant of x times the tangent of x. The derivative of 1 is 0, of course. And the derivative of constant is also 0. That comes out to be the secant of x times the tangent of x. That's in the numerator, all over secant of x minus 1. Secant of x, tangent of x. And so we checked it. Okay? It was a pretty easy check on that one. Number 5 was a little bit tricky. I'm going to go over number 5 with you. Just a little bit tricky. It wasn't too bad. We want to find the integral of the secant of x plus the tangent of secant of x times the tangent of x dx. First time I wrote it down, I wrote it in dt's, the dx's, dt's, it doesn't really matter. The function of x, function of time, t usually stands for time. Okay. Before I did this, I massaged the data quite a bit. It was a little tricky. I had to look it up. No, I didn't have to look it up. I remember certain things. Secant of x is going to be 1 over cosine of x plus tangent of x is sine of x over cosine of x. That's the secant of x plus the tangent of x. So I changed it to its reciprocal function. I know that tangent is sine over cosine. Common denominator, so you end up with 1 plus the sine of x over the cosine of x. What happens is this: if I set this as a u function, and the derivative of that, I get cosine, the derivative of cosine is sine of x, or negative of it, but the 1 is killing me. And so I know I've seen this, I teach trigonometry as well, so I know I've seen something like this in different form. And here's a leap of faith. The leap of faith is I'm going to multiply this, the top, by 1 minus sine of x over 1 minus sine of x. Let's distribute this out. These are called conjugates. 1 plus sine of x, 1 minus sine of x. The conjugate, when you multiply it out, becomes 1 minus sine squared of x. The outer and the inner conjugates always cancel. And that's the reason why they're called conjugates. They're kind of similar. And in the denominator, I'm going to keep this factored. Cosine of x times 1 minus sine of x. I know that 1 minus sine squared of x is cosine squared of x, because of sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. And most of you should have that by now. I know that this is cosine squared. One of the cosines is going to cancel. You end up with cosine of x over 1 minus sine of x. So there it is right here. It's pretty simple. That becomes the inside, the integrand. So we're going to take the integral of the cosine of x divided by 1 minus sine of x dx. Now if you let this be the u, then the derivative of that is going to be cosine, or minus this cosine. So from here, it's a lot easier to work with. It becomes, let's do this. Let u equal 1 minus sine of x. Sorry, that's kind of the reason why I had to put a little bit more space. Du, the derivative of constant is 0, the derivative of sine is negative cosine of x dx. The way we get rid of that negative magically disappears, becomes a negative on the left side. So we got the cosine of x dx, there it is right there. The negative comes out to the front, becomes the negative integral of cosine of x dx was du over 1 minus sine of x. 1 over u. The integral of 1 over u is equal to the natural log of u, absolute value of u, plus constant. We always have to put a negative, the sign goes along with it, and it becomes negative natural log of u, we back substitute, 1 minus sine of x plus constant. And that's our final answer. I can take the derivative of that to make sure that I end up with the secant of x times the tangent of x. We might be able to, oh yeah, we have a little bit of time. Okay, so let's try and do this. Let's check our work. Show the derivative with respect to x of negative natural log of 1 minus sine of x plus c is equal to question mark the secant of x plus the tangent of x. I'm going to factor out the negative in the front. The negative comes out, all constants come out, becomes a negative. The derivative of natural log is going to be 1 over 1 minus sine of x times the derivative of the inside, negative, the derivative of constant is 1, the chain portion, negative sine of x, is going to be negative cosine of x. And that negative cancels with that negative. derivative constant is 0, becomes cosine of x over 1 minus sine of x. Sorry about that, it's a little bit messy right now, but we'll clean it up. Now we have to do the opposite. What's the conjugate of 1 minus sine of x? It's going to be 1 plus sine of x multiplied by 1 plus sine of x. I'm going to keep the numerator factored. I'm going to use short notation. It's going to be cosine times, cosine times 1 plus sine over 1 minus sine squared. 1 minus sine squared is cosine squared. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yep, there it is right there. It's going to be cosine squared. Yeah. So one of the cosine squares is going to cancel. You end up with 1 plus sine over cosine. I'm going to change this into its partial fraction. 1 over cosine plus sine over cosine. Running out of ink here a little bit. 1 over cosine is a reciprocal function of the secant. Sine over cosine is a tangent. We proved it out. Sorry I used short notation on this at the very end because of the fact that I use short notation a lot with my students. They can kind of see it. I have to write as fast as I can as we're working out the problem. Good luck to you all. Hope this helped. Give me some feedback. Thanks.